Welcome back, College Baseball Central fans. This is the Best Coast Pod, episode 10 already. Man, we're flying through the season. It's crazy. For those of you who are first time joining us, this is everything about the West Coast baseball. We come to you with everything that happened last week, a little bit about what's happening now, what's happening this following weekend, and we get into all the Best Coast, West Coast teams. Today I'm not joined by Pat Moen. He's a little busy at the moment, so you got solo show with Mark. Appreciate y'all coming in here. Let's get into it. So every week, College Baseball Central, we have a collective poll where we do our top 25 poll. We put it out there every single week, every Monday morning. This week there's some teams in the West Coast. We're starting to make a little bit of noise out here on the West Coast. Took a little bit of time. Took some convincing on my part and Pat's part to start to get some people, get some eyeballs out here, but they're coming. Let's start from the bottom here. So we got five teams total. We're going to talk about Arizona, ranked 28th in our poll, starting to receive some votes. The longest win streak in the nation currently. Arizona's been playing really good baseball lately. They're sitting at second place, tied for second place in the Pac-12. Very, very good. Good to see them moving up. Utah, 26, just outside our top 25. This team has played really good baseball this year. Much, much, much better baseball than expected. This team seems to go out there and play small ball and do all the right things, and they're just really doing big things there for Utah. Great to see. They also had a record 30 hits today in their crushing win at against Utah Valley today. Let's get into the top 25, though. We got number 18, Oregon. The Oregon Ducks have won every Pac-12 series. They continue to take care of business. They went out and they won today. Jacob Walsh had two more home runs today in their midweek. This team is really, really good. They're set. The pitching staff has been really excellent. Starting pitching has been really good. This team continues to win. They haven't swept a single weekend series, though, but they are winning every single one. They're 5-0 here as far as season weekend series go for the Pac. Very good to see for the Ducks if you're a Duck fan. UC Irvine, number 15. They took a stumble this week. We had them a lot higher last week at 11. They took a little bit of a stumble. They lost 3 or 4 this week. They lost to USC, and then they lost 2 to UC San Diego. A team that is not eligible for playoff contention this year, but is really, really good this year. They are not eligible, but they did take 2 at home against UC Irvine. Irvine had gotten back up in the Sunday game and then lost it in the bottom of the ninth by giving up 2 runs there. So it was a tough loss, tough weekend for UC Irvine. Looking for a big bounce back, especially this week, but we'll talk more about that team later. Number 4, Oregon State. Really anywhere from 6-3. This team sits right there. They're a top 5 team. The offense is going. They did lose the third game to Stanford, but a good week overall. They did go 4-1 overall for the week. Still, the Stanford Sunday loss was a little bit chippy and a little bit ugly. We'll get into that when we get more into this Oregon State team. But sitting at number 4, not surprising. The nation loves Oregon State right now. They're a national brand. So what we're going to do today, we're going to bring you a new segment alert. I'm excited to talk about this next team here. I know that you guys have seen me tweet about this team. I think they have some of the sickest uniforms on the planet, and I really do love their helmets. I think that their batting helmets are really, really cool. Be a cool addition to the man cave. But the Linfield Wildcats in McMinnville, Oregon, playing in the Northwest Conference. We love to see this team. I have seen this team live a bunch, just not this year, unfortunately. The trip I was supposed to make over there got snowed out because I live on the other side of the mountain. But this is a very good baseball team. And if you're looking for some games to go watch this weekend, I suggest going to McMinnville. We'll go into that a little bit more, but they got some big games coming up this weekend. They're 15-15 overall. They didn't have the hottest start. They struggled at the gate a little bit. They lost a lot of one-run games. They were in a lot of baseball games. This is a young team that was going to take a little bit to get rolling, but get rolling they have. They're 9-8 in conference now. They're on a 5-game win streak. They just swept last weekend against Pacific Lutheran. Big series sweep for them. Way to get after it, Cats. They take on Puget Sound at home this week. Saturday doubleheader, Sunday game. They're just 2 games out of first place now in the conference. So if you are in Oregon and you want to go watch some quality baseball, head on out to McMinnville. Go watch these Cats play at Linfield. Wonderful, wonderful stadium. Super fun to watch these guys play. We're going to get into some of these players and give a few shout outs. to some stats that I saw here. Jake Hoskins, transfer senior shortstop, great kid, leading this young talent group. One of the few seniors on this roster that's really been proactive. Good to see him out there. Jake Hoskins, big at shortstop there for this team. Third baseman Elijah Maris. He has been the glue, right? He's been the 385 hitter, 12 doubles, a triple, 5 homers, driving in 27. He scored 30 runs. He has been the offensive firepower for this team. Just really good to see that out of your shortstop and third base combo there. Matt Lewis has been playing a really good center field for them, setting up games for them, setting up the offense, playing great defense, locking it down in center field. Really cool for these guys to be out there and just going out there and winning games lately. Camden Orem has been the Friday night starter for this, which is in fact sometimes Saturday morning in this conference where they play a doubleheader. He goes out there and he gives this team a chance to win every single game that he goes out there. Every first game he goes out there, just really does everything he can for him to go get wins for the Cats, and it's impressive to see. Waynfield, Holmar, Klingelhofer, really good offensive seasons, really good defensively. Again, a young team really battling, starting to stay in this thing and trying to build their way all the way up to possibly win in this conference here over the next few weeks. Freshman Jake Swinson, he went out there, threw a complete game on Sunday on his mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mama Swinson. Big win there to help sweep PLU, Jake Swinson, the freshman. And another freshman, Declan Francis, out of Lake O. Some of you may know of him. He got his first start on the mound this past weekend. Also got his first collegiate win. Congratulations, young man, on the first win. Big to see you out there. Some of you Oregon State fans might know this next fella, Brian Mannion, little brother to Sean Mannion. He has foregone football. He is now going to be playing baseball only. He's emerged as their closer. Been really fun. Great stuff going out there and closing out games, and just a really competitive guy. Outstanding to see this team. Shout out also to Coach Wells. Big fan of the program. Love the guy. Love being able to hear about this Cats team a little bit and getting to talk to him and pick his brain on baseball and life in general. So really excited where this team sits. They're young, okay? They're battle tested. They've been through some games. I'm excited to see where this Linfield team sits here next weekend, possibly heading into the last 4 games of the season, where they've got some big ones coming up. But yeah, this weekend, go check them out against Puget Sound at home. Big games for the Cats. They got to go out there and go get some wins, and then if they keep playing like they have been, they have a chance at competing for the division title in the regular season and into postseason play. So, go give them a shot. Go take a look. This Linfield Wildcat team is a lot of fun to watch, and again, some of the best uniforms in college baseball. So go give them a shot. If you're at home this weekend in Oregon, want to go see some good college baseball, go out there. Go check them out in Linfield. It's in McMinnville, Oregon. For those of you who do not know. All right. Now we're going to jump into some D1 teams here. UCSD, 23-11. They're 10-5. Like I mentioned, they did take it to this UC Irvine team, and they've really played well. They're only 1 game back in the conference. Now, they can't win the conference. It's okay. Still playing good baseball. They get Bakersfield this week at Bakersfield. If they can go down there and sweep this team, man, they're just really impressive, and they could be sitting there at first place in the conference. It's possible. They are out there. It's going to be interesting to see what this team does, but I really love the direction they're heading. Again, 2025 is the first time that this team can officially go out and compete for a national championship, but I love to see where the Forks are right now. Of course, we want to see them continue to compete and continue to get players and get out there and just be overall a great team and fun to watch. Really good at home, by the way. Long Beach State, 17-14-1. They struggled again. They just haven't been able to put together a weekend in quite some time. Once they started off, 9-0-1, they were just on fire and rolling. This team has gone the opposite direction. They're now 5-9 in conference. They can't seem to put it together offensively and defensively and pitching. They're just not being competitive enough in those games. Now, they get a game at CSUN, which is part of the conference that they played yesterday. Today. They had some rainouts. They get San Diego State and UC Irvine, or UC Riverside this weekend. they got to get it right. Okay, if they want to compete in the Big West, at the moment they're not. They're 5-9. Like I said, they're really struggling to find themselves, and there's some good teams ahead of them. You see Sun, UCSD, UC Irvine, but luckily Long Beach has already played UC Irvine, so they don't have to face them again. They got to go out there and find wins, though, and that's what it comes down to. How do you go out there and find wins? And I think that they got to get the pitching and defense rolling again. This team's built on pitching and defense. It's not going to go out there and beat you offensively. They're not going to go out there and get 10 runs every game. So they got to go figure out a way to go collect 27 outs again. UC Irvine, 25-7 now overall, 11-4. They took some hits and some pulls, so they were one of the better teams on the best coast here. Really a bad weekend for them. They get another chance at USC, and then they're going to go and play San Diego State at San Diego State at home, and then at San Diego or at home at San Diego State at home again to split with that series there. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. They really got to go out there and go get some wins, and it's a non-conference weekend for UC Irvine, but they've got to go out there and get a little bit of that confidence and swagger back, and I think that they can do it. It's weird that they're playing USC as the road team in their own ballpark because USC is using UC Irvine as their ballpark this year for a lot of games. So keep an eye on that. But UC Irvine really needs to get their mojo back. Go out there and go get a few wins this weekend would be gigantic for this team. UC Santa Barbara, 20-10, 7-4 overall now in conference. They really, really just have been missing the mark. And Matt Hager not pitching on Friday nights now that has left this team a little bit of reeling. They've got to find themselves again. Again, big part for them is the offense, and can they keep things moving? Now, I know they look good this weekend against Hawaii, but they've really got to figure this stuff out because it's not a great look for this ball club here. They get at UCLA and at Cal Davis. This feels like, yeah, they could drop the UCLA one. That one's not that big of a deal. They've got to sweep Cal Davis if they want to get back in this hunt. Now, I know that they're just 4 wins behind UC Irvine in the win column, but they've got to go out there and go get these wins here. Cal Davis is a big season weekend for them to go out there and get right. And now's the time if they want to make that playoff push, and they really got to get going as we're already sitting at 10 weeks into the season now. So UC Santa Barbara, not where people had them. A lot of people had them in the top 20, top 15. This team right now probably sitting somewhere in the mid 40s. They've got a lot of work ahead of them if they want to get back into the hunt and even get back into the 2 seed talk that people had them at. San Diego. So the Toreros, that's a weird team because they're really good. They went 1-2 this weekend against Portland. Portland leads the conference. We'll talk more about them in a minute. But they really have played some good baseball, and they have one of the higher RPIs in the conference. They've played some tough teams. They've gone on the road. They played Texas. They played DBU. They've gone out and beat both those teams. They seem to go out there and really play up to the level of their competition. And this team offensively has been nails. The question for me is pitching wise, can San Diego go out there and win games? And they haven't really been able to put it fully together. But I believe in this team. I think that they have a lot of talent. I think that this team can go out there and win some big baseball games and can make some noise in the postseason. It's going to be interesting to see how many WCC teams and Big West teams get in versus how many Pac-12 teams get in. We'll get closer to that when we get closer down to the regional times. But it's just weird to look at right now when you look at some of these teams. A lot of 20-game winners in these 2 conferences and not a lot in the Pac-12. But San Diego has at USC and then at Pepperdine. Big weekend series for them. They're 8-4 in conference. Got to go to Pepperdine and get a sweep. Anytime you're playing Pepperdine right now, you got to go get that sweep. You cannot drop a game there, especially when you're looking for wins and to stay in the conference when you're 3 losses behind Portland already in that conference. They've got to go out there and go get a sweep this weekend. Santa Clara, big one here, 18-15 overall now. They had a good weekend. They got back to 6-6 in conference. They went and took care of Pepperdine. They're at Cal Poly, tough one. USC and Sac State. They don't play conference this weekend, so they're going to be out just playing other teams, getting going. 18-15 record is not a lot to look at, but if they go, 2-1 this weekend, I think we're going to feel a little bit better about this Santa Clara team. The Broncos have a ton of offense. We've talked about the names. You know all about the players. The thing that's big for this Bronco team is that they have not used the offense. John Bearing can't be your only offense, right? Manzo can't be their only offense. They've got to get going. And right now, they're missing out. They're missing a little piece there. They need to figure out how to keep this offense rolling. Cal Poly's been really, really good. They're right there in the Big West hunt right now. USC has been playing better ball, and Sac State even took one from the Ducks this last week, who I talked about as being one of the hotter teams in conference. Santa Clara's got to figure it out. They got to go win some baseball games. They're already way behind Portland, and they're behind San Diego right now for the conference standings. So they've really got to figure it out and go out and win some baseball games. This will be a good series weekend to go get a few wins and just feel good about themselves. And even if they drop those games, it's not the end of the world for them because they're non-conference. But 18 and 15, that's not going to be postseason bound. Let's talk about probably the hottest team in D1 baseball right now. Arizona. The Arizona Wildcats are 21 and 13. They are now 10 and 5 in conference. They have the longest winning streak at 8 games right now in the nation. They play at Grand Canyon, and then they get home versus Washington State. What a series for them, right? If they can take care of business against Washington State, who is now 17 and 17, 7 and 11 in conference. They've cooled off quite a bit. They're back to the 500 level. They're at Grand Canyon today, and then they're at Arizona. I feel like Washington State wants to make any sort of noise. They have to do it this weekend, but this is a big prove me series for Arizona. Jackson Kent on Friday night, stamp it, put it in the mail, certified ace. Go out and watch this kid throw. Grant Taylor, certified ace, Washington State. You're seeing two of the best in the conference face each other this Friday. Go look at it. Go watch this game, please. It's gonna be terrific. I cannot wait to see what Arizona and Washington State look like on that Friday night. I think Arizona wins this weekend. I'm going to take them winning two. I think that Washington State can get one, whether it's the Grant Taylor start on Friday or they can steal another one. But I do believe that Washington State puts a little pressure on Arizona, and Arizona does finally drop a game this week. I believe that it will be against Washington State. Arizona State is our next team we're going to talk about. 16 and 19. They dropped a series again. They lost to Utah. They got swept by Oregon State. They're now 7 and 11 in conference. A team that felt like they could hit their way out of any ball game has not hit their way into any ball game. It's been crazy to see the offense just woes some days. Bryson Van Sickle, I'll talk more about him in that Utah series, threw an 82 pitch complete game against this team, and they did nothing at home. Very shocking. I just am not understanding this Arizona State offense. We thought everybody that we talked to, hey, this team's going to be great offensively. We don't know where they're going to get the arms. Thomas Burns hasn't thrown a little bit. Markle's been hit or miss. He's been in some really good games. He's had some really bad games. Arizona State is just tough to put my finger on their pulse right now because I feel like this team really needs to get going. Well, this is the weekend, right? They get UCLA. They're at UCLA. They have at Fulton, then at UCLA for the weekend series. UCLA is 13 and 20 now, 6 and 12 in conference. They're right there at the bottom of the conference, just struggling really mightily to find themselves. They have no offensive identity. They have no pitching identity. 18 games in the conference, they're sitting at sub 333 here. They're at UCSB. Not great, not fun, not the best conditions for them. And then they're at home against Arizona State. If UCLA is going to do anything to turn this season around, it has to happen right now. It's got to happen this weekend. They really can't wait any longer. They can't have another 1-2 weekend and be sitting at 7 and 14. That's just not going to do it for them. If they want any hopes, if Savage wants any hopes of turning this season around, it has to happen this weekend, and it's got to come from guys like Deuce Gorson. He's got to lead this squad and get them going the right direction. But they have to figure something out offensively and be more consistent. The inconsistency of these bottom dwelling Pac 12 teams has been what the big problem is, right? We've seen a lot of good ball from some of these teams, but we've seen some just really bad and not high IQ play. It's really sad to see in the last year of the Pac 12 as we know it, to see some of these, perennial blue bloods just absolutely struggle out the gate and haven't really picked up the slack at all. So we'll see what happens. UCLA at home against Arizona State. I'm taking UCLA to win two of these games because I feel like at home, they're going to turn this thing around. They got to figure something out. They're going to turn it around. They're going to win some ball games here. So I got UCLA taking 2 of these 3 games against Arizona State at home. Again, both teams not looking terrific, but it's going to be a difference maker here, I think, this weekend for UCLA to get some of those wins back. Utah, 23-11. I'm telling you right now, actually, they just won their 24th game. They won more games already this year into week 10 than they won all of last year. That marked improvement is just, Anderson's done a terrific job with this team. They've gone out there and they've played small ball when they need to. TJ Clarkson has been terrific. Kai Roberts has been terrific. This team has pitching. Bryson Van Sickle's been great. Ashman's been great. This team is really, really good and they're dangerous, and nobody really knows enough about them. They're 9-6 in conference, so they're sitting right there behind those Oregon and Arizona. They get Utah Valley, who they just beat with 30 hits today. Then they're at home against Washington. Washington finally took a series. They're 5-10 now in the conference, 11-17-1. They are smoking Portland tonight, which is very impressive. Smoking Portland. But they got to figure some stuff out here because really, when you look at this team, they have got to get after it. And at Utah this weekend is not the time to try to get right. It's not. It's just not the time to try to get right. And we're going to see what they can do. I feel like Utah at home is tough. It's always tough to take a sweep there, and think Washington has no shot at that. So I'm going to take Utah at home. I do think Washington steals one. I think Washington steals a game. I don't think there's any sweeps so far in the Pac-12 slate this week. But I do believe that this Washington team is heading the wrong direction, and they're not going to be any sort of postseason bound. But they're right there with UCLA as far as the bottom of the Pac-12 goes. Speaking of who they're beating tonight, Portland. We almost forgot Portland. Portland, 22-11, 8-1, number 1 in the West Coast Conference. Give it up for Portland. We're happy for this team, as I have in the background here. Still Joe Etzel Field there. Pretty excited for this Portland team. Now, losing this game to Washington, not the end of the world, not a big deal. They're at Gonzaga, though, this week. Gonzaga sits at number 2 in the conference. Time for them to go out and win this game. Gonzaga lost to Oregon tonight. Portland's got to go take the series 2 out of 3. I think that they do take 2 out of 3 from Gonzaga, but Gonzaga has played terrific baseball as of late. They lost to the Pac-12 teams, but they're beating everybody else. They're winning conference games. Their overall record may not look like it, but Gonzaga is a good baseball team. Look for the Pilots to win 2 out of 3. Sam Sturz found his spot on Sundays. He's been really, really good. Nick Brink will get his life back here on the Friday night going for them, and I feel like they get at least 2 games there at Gonzaga. Stanford stole one from Oregon State. They stole the Sunday game. It was pretty chippy, pretty ugly, really weird from a David Esker coach team, a David Esker team that I respect a lot. And it got a little chippy. There was 2 guys ejected for cursing repeatedly, and it was really, really weird. But Stanford did win the game. The bullpen for Oregon State was not as shut down as they would have liked. The Oregon State offense kept battling, but it ended up being an 11-10 loss. Oregon State did take the other 2 pretty handily. Stanford's now 14-19 overall. They get Sac State this week, and they're at home against Oregon. Oregon is now 26-10. They beat Gonzaga tonight. They're 10-5 in conference. They're at Stanford this weekend. If they could go and win another Pac-12 series, they would be 6-0 in Pac-12 conference. They'd be 12-6 overall, unless they sweep, then they'd be 13-5. This team is putting themselves in that fringe talk of hosting. And I know a lot of you probably don't want to hear this. A lot of you are saying, Mark, you're crazy. This team can't host. They're putting themselves in the position. They've gone out and played people in the preseason. They played people in the non-conference. This team got ready. Coach Waz has this team believing. The pitching staff is great. They seem to go out there and just continue to battle, throwing strikes, getting guys out. The offense is coming around. I really like what I'm seeing from Hurd. I really love what I'm seeing from guys like Bryce Betcher out there. Bennett Thompson's been great behind the dish for this team. And then Walsh is, like I said, if it wasn't for Travis Pizzana, he might be the Pac-12 Player of the Year. He is really that caliber of guy. I'm excited to see what Oregon does this weekend. I hope that they sweep at Stanford. I think I'm going to take them for the sweep at Stanford. I know it's tough to go down to the Dunkin' Diamond and get the sweep, but I feel like it's time for Oregon to make that stand. Either they're going to go down there and sweep this, or they're going to blow it. But I feel like Oregon's time is now, and they need to go down there and get that sweep. USC is now 17-18, 10-7 overall. They were one of the hottest teams in the country. They're not playing bad baseball now. They're starting to come back a little bit. They have a winning record in the conference. They're 17-18 overall. They get San Diego, then at UC Irvine, and then they get 2 versus Sac State and 1 versus Santa Clara. They got a weird slate this week. No conference games, but 5 overall big games for them against some really good teams that are playing really good baseball. Yes, they're not Power 5 conference teams, but they're really good teams right now. And UCI is ranked. So for this USC team, it's time to get going. Go down there and go get 4 wins here. Collect 4 wins. I think that's the goal there. You're probably not going to take all 5. If you get all 5, congrats. You've put yourself in a position there to be talking about postseason again. Go get 4. You're putting yourself pretty happy. You'd be really happy to be sitting at 21-19 heading into the next weekend of Pac-12 play. They are 1 game missing, just like Oregon State is 1 game missing in conference because of that last day rain out for them. But they could go out there and put a name for themselves and start battling back in this conference. But already at this point right now, USC fans got to be a little bit happier than where they were to start this season. They were one of the last teams to get to 10 wins. Of course, that team is Washington, but they're at 11 wins now. Here's the Golden Bear team that finally battled back. They battled back to get the sweep at Washington State last weekend. Big wins for Cal. Finally got the offense rolling again. Got a little bit of pitching. Got enough pitching to get those wins at the Palouse. Cal is now 20-14. They're up to the 20-win mark. Good for them. 8-10 in conference. They're playing a non-conference game against San Francisco, and then they're hosting Oregon State. Oregon State right now is at Nevada. If you give me 2 seconds here, I'll check that score right now. Looks like Oregon State is up 5-2 in that one right there. Bad news for Beaver fans if you're watching this live. Travis Bazzana did get hit by a pitch in the hand, and he is out of tonight's contest after he got hit. He is hit and out. I will have more news when I can get it. At the moment, didn't look great. He went down pretty bad pain. I'm hoping that he can tough this one out. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Really not a great look. We've already lost Trent Caraway due to the same thing. Would hate to have that for Travis. It's literally the nightmare scenario. But, get healthy. Maybe he plays this weekend. Maybe he doesn't. We'll have to see what happens. That'll be up to the medical staff and the team, doctors, and everybody. But Oregon State right now beating Nevada. They get another one tomorrow against Nevada as well. But they get to go at Cal next. They're 29-5 overall. Like we talked about them earlier. Top 5 team. The offense is definitely a top 5 team in the country. The pitching is getting better, right? And so they had a top 10 ERA. People were giving them a hard time. They made 4 errors again this weekend. They were clean on Friday and Saturday, so you know how many that means they made on Sunday. This team is good. They're really, really good. And you're always going to lose games in baseball, so I hate to see the haters go out there and say, oh, you lost one to Stanford. Listen, it's hard to win any weekend games. It's hard to win the series. It's more impossible even to sweep. Give these kids a break. They're playing their hearts out. These coaches are coaching as hard as they can. I love this team. I think that all these Pac-12 teams are really just battling and trying to do the best they can. Oregon State sits at 10-4, atop the conference right now, just half a game ahead of Oregon and Arizona. They're going down to Cal. It's going to be a battle. I think that Oregon State takes 2 or 3. I think Cal does win a game. I think Caleb Lomavita, Peyton Schultz, PJ Zermitis, I think that these guys step up, and I think that they get a game. But I think Oregon State takes 2 and really bolsters that Pac-12 conference there. I think that Oregon State hopefully can take 2 from Nevada and be sitting somewhere in the 33 win range heading into next weekend. So there it is. That's the slate for the upcoming weekend. That's what happened last weekend. We got all those games in. Lots and lots of stuff. So, winning team of the week. I know I didn't have Pat to ask this week. I think that he would agree with me, though. Two names come to mind. One, Oregon. They've now won 5 straight Pac-12 series. They've put themselves in a position to be going for the Pac-12 title. They get Oregon State at the end of April. That's going to be an awesome series. I'll be at all 3 games there for you folks. I think that they're right there. They've put themselves in the position to be, hey, this is the winning team of the week. This team's been really, really good. Their pitching has put them in this position, right? They're electric. They go out, they get outs. It's really fun to watch this ball club. The second team is Portland. They got smoked on Friday. They got beat up on Friday. They lost a tough game also on Tuesday to Oregon State. Then they come out and they win Saturday, Sunday to win the series and to keep ahead of San Diego in the WCC conference. Huge wins for Portland there. I know that they went 2-2. Tough to say they're the winning team of the week, but the way that they did that on Saturday, Sunday to come back and win those games, massive for the Pilots. Just massive for the Pilots. Great to see. Again, another team up throwing them in there. Linfield, winners of 5 straight. Go out and watch this Cats team. Oregon and Oregon State both on the road, folks. So if you need some college baseball in your life, like I do, go down there and go watch these games. Go get after it, okay? Doubleheader on Saturday. Believe it starts at noon for all you folks down there in McMinnville area. Underperforming team of the week. I don't really think there's any question about this. It's UCI. It's Irving. They lost 2 or 3 of the weekend. They lost to USC. They weren't in 2 of those ball games. The the Tuesday game against USC, they were never in that ball game. They got just absolutely blown out by USC. And then the first game against UCSD, Nick Pinto didn't even go 2 full, and he was out of the game. I mean, it was crazy to see this UCSD team just come out and say, we know you're a top 15 team. It doesn't matter. We're gonna beat you. So I feel like this week was a wake up call maybe for UC Irvine. Maybe they shake the head there and get the cobwebs out and get back after it this week. But they're the underperforming team of the week, and I don't really think there's anybody else that even comes close. Props to a player or coach. So this one for me was really, really easy. Bryson Van Sickle of Utah. I mentioned it on the live show for the weekend rotation. I'm going to mention it again right now. 82 pitch complete game shutout of Arizona State at Arizona State. There's not a time in my life that I would ever think that Arizona State would get shut out at home, let alone by a Utah club that last year won 23 games. Bryson Van Sickle, you have been electric. Thank you for that performance. That was great to watch. Went out there, beat up the strike zone, really competed against that Arizona State team, and gave your team the chance to win a weekend series on the road, which is just tough to do. Going out there and winning on Friday night, huge, 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 huge for Utah. Really happy to see that performance there and to go out there and do this. TJ Clarkson also gets a little nod of the cap. As he had a terrific weekend hitting 4 home runs. Also, Gavin Turley for Oregon State, the grand slam, the 2-run home run, another homer of the weekend. This kid was doing everything he could to help beat Stanford in a weekend where Travis Bazzano was a little off. Gavin Turley came alive and really took care of business. And another one, Wilson Weber, also hit pretty well this weekend, but just didn't have as many big hits like Turley did. So Turley and TJ Clarkson, but the big one there is BVS there for Utah. The 82 pitch complete game shutout there at Arizona. Just huge. Well, as always, folks, you'll see us here live on Saturday mornings. We do the weekend rotation. It is 8 a.m. West Coast time, 10 Central for all you who celebrate there in the Central time zone. Bring it. Ask us questions. Go to College Baseball Central. Go visit us on the Twitter. Ask us questions. We're all about this life. If you want to hit me up at margar0010, I will answer any college baseball questions you want to throw at me. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you again next week with the Best Coast Pod. Hopefully, we're talking about more wins and great teams.